hi, Debbie.
So yes, I'm so excited for today. Petra is here with us. For those of you who are new, Petra is a BBL alumni. So she was in round 1 and round 2. So Petra knows all of the stuff that we're doing in here. So I think that's going to be super cool because she knows exactly where you guys are in your journey. We've only done 2 weeks worth of homework so far. So there's a lot of stuff on our to-do list, but we want to talk about getting organized and being super productive with our time. And I'm so excited. So Petra, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I don't want to say anything wrong because I know you have your stuff down like that now. So if you want to give your own intro and then we can go from there.
Yeah, but everything I am now came from Brand Bold Alive. So you know exactly what I do. I'm a productivity and organization coach, and I help female service-based entrepreneurs getting things done, getting more organized so that they can focus on tasks that actually bring them money and they just love doing and not this nerve-wracking back office stuff.
Good. I love it. Cool. So blame me for being totally I totally dropped the ball on this one with Thanksgiving. I'm just all over the place. But Petra, do you have a presentation, or are we just doing Q&A, or how are we running this one today? This is my fault, ladies.
So I have a few points I want to talk about. So cool. The first one will be the foundation of productivity. The second one is the tools you need to be productive. The third one is my best tip on task management and how to organize your to-do list. And then what you can do to stay on track, which rituals to implement to really stay on track with everything you have on your plate. So, and then we will have time for Q&A.
Luckily, I dropped the ball on the one with Petra because she is very organized. So, okay, great. Well, I'm super excited.
Notes here, so this might, if I look down here, it's because, I want to make sure I cover everything I want to say.
Okay. Well, let's get started then, and then I will ask the questions for Lucy and Kristen when we're done, and if anyone else has any questions, we'll have time for a little Q&A at the end.
To interrupt me anytime. If you have questions, just unmute yourself and go ahead.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm excited.
So I want to start with the foundations of productivity because I feel like when we think about productivity, we think about the tools we can use to make us productive and all these little tips and tricks and stuff like that. But a lot of people miss out on the foundation of productivity, which is what I like to call, girl, clean your space. So it's really, really important to have a clean and organized working space to be productive and to get in focused work. So the first foundation is declutter, clean and tidy up. You can't be productive when there's a mess around you. It just messes up in your brain. You constantly see all the things. So you need a clear and tidy space. And it's also not productive to have to click 500 times to find what you're looking for and to go through a pile of papers to find what you're looking for. So the first thing here is declutter your workspace. Clean it, tidy it up, throw away what you don't need. This will really help you be more focused and less distracted. Then the next point here is your digital space. And this is where it can get really messy because we download things, we file things wherever just we think it fits. And so the next thing is really to have a clean and organized digital space. And with digital space, I mean your laptop, computer, whatever. So declutter and delete everything from your download folder. This so filled up so quickly. So go in there and delete what you don't need. And also your desktop. I'm sure all of you have pretty pictures of your desktop, and yeah, we just don't see them because yeah, they're just a lot of files. So with this, there also comes a organized filing structure. So make yourself a filing structure that makes sense for you. I like to start with a folder. The basic folders are business, education, personal, and archive. And from there, I go into all these little folders underneath where you then can file whatever you need, but really set up a filing structure that makes sense for you and that makes it easy for you to find things. So think of when you look for something, where do you naturally start searching for this thing and file it there. So yeah, and also go into your social media. This is also something that can get really distracting and can stop us from being focused. So Facebook, Instagram, when you're on Twitter, go in there, unfollow people who who might make you feel like you're not good enough. This is all something that really distracts us, and yeah, it's just not good to focus. So yeah, also go through all your social media, leave Facebook groups you don't like to be in, and yeah, just and don't forget your phone, all the apps on your phone. Delete what you don't need, organize it in folders if you have to. So yeah, make sure your digital space is a clean space too. And the third point here is your mind. This is where proper brain dump comes in. So we tend to think that we have to remember all the stuff that is going on, but our brain isn't really made to remember stuff. It's made to be creative, to have ideas, to play around. And whenever something comes up, have a notepad by your side and write it down, and take your time to do a proper brain dump. So start at your workplace, write down everything you have to do for your work, and then work your way around your house. There might be some light bulbs, light
bulbs.
Yeah, light bulbs. You might have to change whatever. So everything, write everything down that comes to your mind, so that your brain don't have to remember all the things. It can rely on, it's on paper, and yeah, I can be free for creative stuff. So yes.
Go ahead, Tanya.
Love this.
Sorry. It's the equivalent of raising my hand. I wanted to say I call the mind decluttering, I have an exo brain. Like, I put it all in my planner. My question was actually for the one before about social media.
Yeah.
And unfollowing stuff that might, be unpleasant or challenge you. My concern is, doesn't that just put us in an echo chamber where we only hear our own thoughts, so we don't have anything to, like, how do we know what's challenging enough for us to address in our own business? Like, if people are like, oh, tarot readers are so, ignorant. Okay, well, it might offend me, so I'll take it out of my social media, but I also need to respond to that.
I feel you should respond. You should unfollow everyone that makes you feel bad about yourself, that makes you feel unworthy and not good enough.
Okay, but challenge is okay.
Challenge is okay. If you feel challenged and you want to discuss with this person, it's totally fine. But if you follow a person and you read her or his posts and you just think, oh my God, I'm not good enough, I will never be as good as she is, then unfollow. This is something you don't need. But I'm always up for a good challenge and a good discussion. So this is, it's not to avoid any confrontation. It's just listen to yourself, and if it makes you feel unworthy and not good enough, then unfollow this person.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so yeah, do a proper brain dump and get everything out of your head so that you can really stay focused and yeah, get things done. And then a little bonus, if you're up for it, you can have a proper KonMari session and declutter your whole home. But yeah, this is if you're up for it. I've done it once and I loved it, but
yeah. I made it through one room and then I quit.
No, I actually
but it is great.
I actually did the whole house except the stuff from my boyfriend. I will not touch this, but yeah, it felt really, really good.
Love it.
Okay.
Debbie, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so earlier I was writing it down, but you said it really fast and I didn't get. I wanted to hear, you said on the filing structure, like you named the different types of files that you do.
Yes, it's the starting point. So I have business, education, personal, and archive.
Okay, thank you.
These are my four main folders I start with, and from there I go into the detailed structure.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't catch all that.
Okay, when I'm too fast, please stop me anytime.
I love that too. I have I do the same thing. Petra and I are very similar in the organization stuff. So I'm like, my goal with my file structure is that any random person can come in and I can tell them what to look for and they can go find it. So I have a bajillion folders, but it makes perfect sense where everything is and nothing is ever lost. So I have a question too, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like all of this stuff, like all of these bullet points are like spring cleaning, like go through and do it. But how often do you go back and do maintenance? Like how often do you go through and re-clear out your downloads folder, or do you just like delete everything as soon as you're done with it, or what does it look like for you?
So this is then actually my last point, how to stay on track. There are a few rituals you can implement to keep this clean state you achieved. So we will go into this in the last point.
Okay, cool. Perfect.
Okay, for you. Great. So the second point in the foundations of productivity is kind of a no-brainer, but it's digitalization. So make sure you have everything and as much as possible in digital format. So as I said, it's kind of a no-brainer. A lot of stuff we receive nowadays is digital anyway. So you receive invoices as PDFs and something like that, and something like that. So, but if you have something that comes in paper, just take a picture, or there are apps you can scan it and upload it as PDF. So make sure you have everything in digital format. So the goal should be that you can run your business just with your laptop, and you don't need 5 physical folders to have with you to find or have to have what you need. So.
We also forgot to mention at the beginning that Petra was an accountant for 20 years.
Yeah.
So like receipts and stuff like that.
A lot of my examples come from this background, yeah.
Super helpful and super important though.
Okay, so if you have any questions to this point, otherwise I would move on to the tools you need.
Go for it, Debbie.
I have another question. Okay, so on the digital stuff, okay, my laptop is so full that I literally just bought an external hard drive because I have a lot of videos. And where I hesitate to get rid of it because, like, if I'm doing a video on a thrift store and I just need like a scene of me walking through a thrift store, I can pull it. But I find that I have so many digital files now, like of videos. So how would you suggest, would you suggest going ahead and getting rid of the video files and just making fresh video? Or am I holding on to that? I mean, is that too cluttered? Is that too much?
I would say I have a few videos too, and they really take up a lot of space, but I also don't want to get rid of them because I also like to see my personal development from the first video I did to now. And yeah, maybe I want to go back to it, to upload it to IGTV or whatever. So what I did is I just save all the videos on my external hard drive. So I don't have any videos on my laptop because it would take too much storage space. I have them on an external hard drive, and yeah, so I can just plug it in whenever I need it. So I really only delete the videos I think I will really never need again. So it's not, the point here is not to be left with just one document. It's just that you have that you find what you're looking for, but please keep whatever you want to keep and what you think you need.
I just have so much, and so that's why I was like, do I keep it all? Or
no, I understand that you want to keep this, especially videos. So store them on an external hard drive, and yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Great. So the next point are the tools you need, in my opinion, to be productive and to get things done. So the first one is also kind of a no-brainer, but it's an online digital calendar. So I love my paper planners, but they unfortunately don't sync with my online scheduler for my clients. So you really have to have an online calendar where you can put everything in. And the second tool I already mentioned is an online scheduler for appointments with your clients. I don't know how many of you are working with clients one-on-one, but this is really something that can save you so much time. So there's Acuity, there's Calendly. A lot of client relationship management tools have online calendars in them as well. So really make sure that you have a Google Calendar, an iCal, whatever, to really have everything online. And yeah, the third tool is a client relationship management tool like Dubsado, Honeybooks, 17 Hats. It's really important to have everything client related in one place. So I have Dubsado because Brooke recommended it to me, and yeah, I like to follow everything Brooke says because she's amazing.
Dubsado is the best thing ever.
That's the most amazing tools, yeah. And it's just so great to have everything in there. You have your invoices, you have your contracts, you can take notes to when you have a call with the client. So this really is an amazing tool to have everything in one place. When you can set up workflows, and all you have to do is send out a link to book an appointment, and then the workflow starts and you have more or less nothing to do with it again. So this is really I really love it, and for me this is the biggest time saver someone who is working with clients one-on-one can have. So it can take a little bit of time until you have set it up the way you want to set it up, but when you're done, it's really amazing. So start with the client journey you want to, or the journey you want your client to go through, and from there set everything up. And yeah, it's a lifesaver and a time saver. It will save you so much time. And yeah. So, and the fourth one is task management tools. So as I said, I love pen and paper, I love my journal, but it's just so much easier when you have everything in a tool. So you can manage your projects, you can manage your to-dos, you can easily move things around and adapt things. It's really important to help you manage your tasks and to stay on track with everything, and so that you know that everything you have to do is in one place. And I also like to put my personal tasks in there, because when you're a solopreneur, you can't really separate between your personal life and your business. So it's messes up, and it's just, it's one thing. So I also like to have my personal tasks in there, and it saves me a lot of time, energy, and mental space. So any questions on tools for productivity?
What do you like to use for your task management?
I use Asana. I used to use ClickUp, but I couldn't set it up in a way that really made sense for me, and I didn't like the interface, and I just didn't like it. And then I switched to Asana, and it's really a tool. What I will say is that the most important thing about the tool is that you enjoy using it. If you use a tool you don't really like, you will end up ignoring it, you won't use it, and it doesn't make any sense to have it. So take your time. A lot of these tools have free trials, or you just have to pay for any additional services. So take your time, try it out, really find a tool that you think you like and you enjoy using, because otherwise you won't use it, and all the time you spend in there setting everything up is lost. So
if I can make a recommendation or just put a suggestion on the table.
Yes, of course.
I use Trello for task management. I just like the card approach. I guess that makes perfect sense for me now. Given what I do. But I've also used Airtable successfully as content manager, customer manager, to-do manager. It takes a while to set up, but it's free. You can do it. So check that out too.
I feel like Airtable is a great step. Like if you're not quite to the point where you want to pay for Dubsado or something like that, Airtable is great, like until you get there, if you don't have a ton of clients yet. Once you get more than like a handful of clients, it might be a little trickier, but it's still great for like project management and organizing stuff. I love both. I use Asana and Airtable. And my notes app on my phone is honestly what I do the most, because it syncs with my phone and my computer.
I love it. I love this app too, because this is also a good point. You should be able to access your tools from any device. So if there is an app, Asana has an app, Trello has an app as well, I think. So it's really great to have something you can access from wherever you are and from any device. So
Awesome.
Okay, so then we can move on to my number one tip on task management or to-do lists. So people are often overwhelmed by their to-do list. They look at it, they don't know what to do. They start watching cat videos on YouTube because they just don't want to start working. And what I find the number one reason for this is that people put projects on their to-do list and not really tasks. What the difference is the project is something that has more than one action step, and the task can be accomplished with one action step. So the example I like to use is Freebie, because I was there as well, and I was overwhelmed with this as well. And you guys will have a module on freebies as well. So don't put create freebie on your to-do list. There goes so much into this. So you have to do a lot of prep work. You have to think about what I actually want to create as a freebie. How do I want to create it? What's the name? Then the creation process, the design. Is it a PDF? Is it a video? Do I have to edit the video? How do you deliver your freebie? You have to have a landing page. You have to have sign-up forms. You will have an email sequence. That goes so much into create freebie that your brain will literally stop working when you see it on your to-do list and you just don't know what to do. Yes. So my number one tip is, before you start anything that has more than one action step, sit down and break it down into as tiny little steps as you can. So have a brain dump, sit down, maybe try to, with the freebie example, I like to have the prep work, then the creation process and the delivery process. So, and from there, break it down in, think about all the things you have to do and break it down in as tiny steps as possible, and put these steps on your to-do list and not create freebie. This will help you a ton with stopping procrastination and really not being overwhelmed by all the things you have to do. And it's so satisfying if you can tick off a lot of the things. So create freebie, you probably can tick off for 3 or 4 weeks, but yeah, find a name for freebie. Okay, not me, Brooke knows me, I always have a hard time to find names for my things, but
you're not alone. Not just you.
Probably not the best example for me, but yeah, so it's really, I just love it to tick off and yeah,
especially on Asana, because like little unicorns and stuff shoot across the screen when you check things off.
Yeah, and it also helps you to, people often feel like they don't get things done and nothing works, but if you look, they actually get a lot of things done, and this way you actually see how much you get done if you really if you really notice the small action steps. Sorry, the small action sorry the small action steps you do. So it's also very satisfying to tick these things off, and you, at the end of the day, you say, okay, today I actually got a lot of things done, and not, okay, I'm having this freebie thing on my to-do list for 3 weeks now and nothing happens and I can't tick it off. So yeah, this is the biggest thing I see people struggle with, and my really number one tip to break it down and put the single steps on your to-do list.
I love it. That's so helpful.
So any questions on to-do lists?
Is Asana free? Is Asana free?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have paid versions, but I did the free trial of the paid version. And the only difference that I found useful was you can add dependencies. So like this task won't show up on your like urgent to-do list until you do the one before it, like stuff like that. But I didn't feel like it was worth the price of it. That's just my opinion, but I'd go with the free.
What they also have in the paid version is this chant view. So you can actually, for a task, you can have a start date and an end date. In the free version, you can only have a due date, and in the paid version you can have a start date and an end date, so you can see.
That was cool, like the little timeline thing. That was kind of cool.
Timeline thing, but I don't think it's worth the price. So I still
it's expensive.
It's really expensive, and I still use the free version, and I'm totally happy with it. So no need to really upgrade to the paid version here.
One thing that you shared with me either in one of our one-on-one things, or I don't know, Petra teaches me organization stuff all the time still. I have the to-do list in my phone, and that syncs with my computer. And you said to break it into 3 sections, like now, waiting, and would be nice to do later. So instead of just having like a giant ass list of things, just break them down into like, what are the things you can actually get done right now? You told me that like forever ago, and I still do that. I still have it organized that way.
Yeah, it's also the way you organize your to-do list. You know, everyone's brains works different, and some like to have it day by day. So on Monday I do this, on Tuesday I do this. This works for a lot of people, but a lot of people like to have, I recently worked with a client who has health conditions and isn't really able to do a lot of high energy things all the time. So she has days where she is really low on energy and her health is not at the best. So she has her to-do list in just high energy days and low energy days. So
that's cool.
that she is able to do things even if she doesn't feel good, but there are tiny things she can do anyway on these days, and it doesn't make her feel like she's doing nothing. So maybe play around a little bit with different structures of to-do lists, and yeah,
I love that.
find what works for you.
Yeah.
I had just actually went to my counselor because I was overwhelmed, and she told me to, because I tend to write everything down that I got to do that day, and then I get super overwhelmed, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get it all done. So she had me do like a 2 have-tos and 1 want-to. So I would do 2 things that I have to do, and then 1 thing that I really wanted to do, and then just keep repeating that all day long. And so like the only struggle that I had was when I had a bigger project. So I would write that down, and then I would never get to the want to, because it would take all day to do the 1 have to. And so then I was like, what do I do? So then when you just said the whole thing about breaking it down, I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. That was the one area where I was like, well, what do I do when it's a really big project? I never get to my want to. So
yeah, I'm glad it's helpful. And I see a lot of people doing this. And as you said, yeah, you get totally overwhelmed. And also you have to think about all the steps that are involved in this project, and breaking it down beforehand and thinking about what actually has to be done is just a relief, and it makes it so much easier for you. And you can say, okay, today I do the 3 freebie to-dos I have to do, and then I get to the want to. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
All right, then moving on to the last point, and this is what Brooke was excited to hear, that how to stay on track. So I recommend 3 rituals you should have in place to really be productive, be focused, and get things done. So the first one is your morning ritual. It's really important to set the tone for the day in the morning. So it doesn't make any sense to get up and to rush into work. So experiment to find out what works best for you, but make sure to take time for yourself in the morning. If it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, start your day in a way that really feels good for you, whether that's going for a walk with your dog, meditating, journaling, having a coffee in the garden, smelling the roses, whatever it is. Experiment with it, find out what works for you and what feels good for you. And taking this time in the morning without social media, so don't go on social media during this time. It helps you get really a lot more done if you take a breather in the morning and really check in with yourself, give yourself grace and give yourself time to wake up, to feel good. Maybe you dance, listen to music you love, whatever. So yeah, and then you can go to your clean workspace and start working. So this is a really important ritual for me. And the second one is the shutdown ritual. So this is something you do before you stop working. This has two reasons. The first one is you signal your own brain that it's time to stop, and then that is transitioning into your private time, especially when you work from home. When you are working in an office, you go out of the office, you drive home, and this is really the time for your brain to unwind and to realize that work is over for the day. But if you just have to go through the door and you're in your kitchen or in your living room, it's hard for your brain to find this, okay, now I'm done. So with this ritual, you signal your brain that the working time is over, and then it's now time to unwind and to relax. And the second reason why this is good is it sets you up for the next day. So it's important that you set everything up for the next day the night before. I'm sure you all have heard this, start your day the night before. So what is a good idea to do to in this shutdown ritual is check your emails, see if there's anything urgent, and then close your emails and don't touch it for the rest of the night. So no checking on your phone, because when you see something popping up, you say, oh, this client, and I have to respond, and you will never relax. So have a last look at your inbox and then shut it down for the day. The next thing is to check and update your calendar. So have a look at what you have to do for the next day. Are there any appointments you have to be prepared for? What's on there? And yeah, just to, I don't know, I feel better when I know what's going on the next day. It isn't so a surprise when I look at it, oh yeah, there was a thing coming up. So I like to know what I have to do or what I have on my calendar the next day, because I don't like to have any surprises in the morning. So yeah, have a look at your calendar and update it. And also have a look at your to-do list for the next day. Is everything on there? We often prepare our to-do lists weeks or days in advance, and things mess up. So make sure that everything that's on your list is really up to date and what you actually have to do the next day. So make sure that your to-do list is on point. And then before you go, tidy up and clean your workspace. So I don't mean that you have to clean the surface or something like that, but put away your glasses, your coffee cups, make sure that everything, all your papers are not all over the place. So yeah, it should be a good feeling for you when you come to your workplace in the morning. So make sure that you prepare everything to have a fresh and clean start the next day. And the third ritual is
Debbie's got a crazy puppy.
The third ritual is the weekly review. As much as we try to stay on point with everything, and as much as we try to update our lists or update our calendar or whatever, life happens, life gets messy, and we don't have time to do all the things all the time. So I like to do it on a Sunday. I know that some people like to do it on a Thursday so that they can do the things they missed on Friday. So find a day that works for you. But what you basically do is you set yourself up for a successful next week. So review and update your calendar, bring your inbox to 0, review and update your projects and your to-do lists, and what's also important, plan something fun. So we are not here to work all the time, we are here to enjoy what our life and what we are doing. So don't stuff yourself and your calendar with work, plan something fun, date night, whatever. So yeah, don't feel bad about yourself when you mess up with all the things, because it happens to all of us. And yeah, just check in every Sunday for 1 hour and think about everything you have to do, make sure everything is on point, and yeah, that sets yourself up for a great next week.
I love it. I love it. And I especially love the part, you know, don't beat yourself up if you screw it up. I can't tell you guys how many times I've made like these elaborate to-do lists, especially like when I'm launching this program or anything else. I'm like, okay, every single day is very meticulously planned out. And then I get to it and I'm like, I don't want to do this. So like, you know, play with the systems, play with, you know, the way that you're organizing things. You have to figure out the way that works for you. I love that you brought that into this, because there's so many different ways to do it. And just because one person tells you to do it one way does not mean it's going to work for you. And that's totally okay. Don't give up.
Also, don't be afraid to change things up. A lot of people feel like, okay, I have set everything up in Asana, but I really don't like Asana. So then change, go use another tool. If you don't like Dubsado, find something else. So don't stick to a tool, because when you don't like it, and also when you find that your to-do list isn't working for you, try something different. As I said, with my client with the health issues, it's now so much easier for her because she has and just another structure. It's just don't says, okay, I have to do this on Monday, but on Monday she felt really low, she had no energy, she had pain, so she couldn't do the Instagram live she wanted to do. So now she has a bunch of tasks she can do when she's feeling not that good. So play around, try different things and find something that works for you, and don't be afraid to change things when they don't work for you.
Love it. Awesome. Andrea, Jasmine, are you guys good? Do you guys have any questions? Andrea?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So something that I've noticed taking up a lot of my time is the idea of batch content for Instagram posts, and what I enjoy is, like, I get inspired, as we all do, like in the shower or at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever. So I put things in my notes. But when I've tried to sit down and like create a bunch of content for my Instagram posts, I find that it's not really working for me. But then when I do it when I'm just inspired, I'll spend an hour on one post, like typing it up and thinking about what I want to say. And so that's not sustainable to me. I love Instagram and I really enjoy it, so it doesn't feel like work, but it's taking up time. So is there any ideas or like, how can I streamline, because I want to use Instagram as my main platform for now. So any ideas of how I can still post with inspiration but not spend an hour on one photo that's going out?
Do you have the pictures already prepared somewhere, or do you just talk about the captions?
It's the captions that are taking up. So I have some organization with my photos, but also sometimes that like just searching for whatever I feel like posting that day, and then I look for the photo that might go with that, and then typing the caption out. I've started I like Evernote, so whenever I feel like something's inspired me, I'll write it out, and I have some on like just kind of sitting there waiting to be used, but I'm just finding I'm out of all my organization, that's probably where I feel like I'm wasting a lot of time, but yeah.
So what I like to do for picture, I don't know what kind of business do you have?
So I'm an anxiety coach.
Okay.
So I'm using, so I follow Jenna Kuchar's like Instagram. I did her Instagram course. And so I like using a lot of personal stuff in my Instagram that's like relationship building. And so right now that's kind of what I'm focused on more, is the bringing my story in, making connections. But yeah, I spend so much time on the writing part before I post it.
But isn't that where you're supposed to spend the most time? This is your content. This is you.
But on one post, like I feel like an hour or 2 hours just on one, to me, feels like a lot of time. And maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
How often are you posting? If that's like every day, then that's kind of a lot. But
well,
it depends.
And I wanted to post at least 4 to 5 times a week, but because it was taking so long, so now it's maybe 2 to 3 times a week. But I'd like to post more than that.
Okay. You said you'd write down when inspiration hits you. So do you just write down bullet points, or do you write down your whole caption?
Sometimes both. So sometimes it'll just be an idea for a future post, and then other times I'll actually write most of what I want to say.
Okay. And why do you think it takes you so long to write this post? If you have the inspiration and you know what you want to say.
Yeah. Oh, I know it's because I'm still, sometimes it's just, is this good enough to put out? Or the perfectionism sinks in, and then I go over it. And then does it sound, I want to make sure it sounds like real, like a human writing it. And does it sound, so yeah, I tend to go through and criticize or critique whatever it is without just hitting send. And I'm getting better at that, but that could be actually where a lot of that is coming in.
Okay, but I feel then it's not a matter of organization, it's a matter of perfectionism. So and your first version is good enough. So if you read it or edit it 5 times, it won't sound like you anymore. So usually the first thing you write is what comes from your heart and comes from your soul. So write it and put it out there. Stop thinking too much about it, and just put it out. It will reach the right people, it will touch the right people, and it won't sound like a robot. So I feel like when you already have the caption there, and it's not a matter of organizing or getting better. And I can tell you some tips, but if you take 1 hour editing your caption, the tips won't work. So I feel like you already have the caption, it came from your heart, put it out there, and
Okay.
And
thank you.
another thing is that you can edit the caption later, right?
Well,
So
and
if
I
you just
do
press
that.
send, then come back to it later when like you've got some low moments, or just a little bit of time or whatever to just put into it. But because I do that all the time. I always press send, and then I go back and fix it, like for typos or whatever. But you don't have to edit it before you post. You can edit it later. Because and that's the fun thing with Instagram. You can't edit the picture, but you can edit the caption.
Yeah. Well, and I still end up doing that and then spending too much. I need to trust my process more than
trust your first intuition, because this is usually and people can feel when it comes from your heart, or it's just an overthought caption. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
go with your first draft.
Yeah. Not my 10th.
love
Put
it.
it out there.
Yes, because what Tanya said too was a great question. Like, we don't want to put out crappy content just to be faster, right? Like, it sounds like
No.
that sounds like you're in the right place.
Yeah. Thank
Love
you.
it. Awesome. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? No, Jasmine, Tanya, Debbie, you guys good? Okay, I'm going to read Lucy and Kristen's questions then. So Lucy says, my question would be, how do we prioritize when we feel like we're running out of energy and our list still has too many things to do? Is there a system where productivity in business, work, family, and personable can be met while also doing a bit of self-care? She uses Trello and Google Docs and her calendar, but she's still getting burnt out and working a lot and has fibromyalgia. So I feel like the conversation we had earlier about like the two different types of lists would be really helpful for Lucy, first of all, but anything else you want to add there?
I feel when it gets overwhelming with your personal life and your business and so on, we always tend to put family first, business first, and then sometime later down the road, it's about us. So the first thing I would put on the to-do list and into the calendar is some time for self-care. We are here to create a life we want to live and we enjoy living. And it doesn't make any sense to work us into burnout. And I feel that even if it takes me 3 months longer to hit my income goal or whatever goal, it's more important. I'm so sorry. It's more important to me that I enjoy the process than reaching the goals and being completely burnt out. So make sure that you have enough time for yourself, enough time for your friends and your family in your calendar. So this is really important. And then for me, it's it's my top priorities. And if you work, you are your business. If you work yourself into an illness or into burnout, your business is also gone. So you are the star of the show. So you have to take care of yourselves. Yeah. So
I have
yeah.
Go for
I
it.
was going to say, I have a suggestion that I just saw this on Pinterest the other day and I thought it was brilliant and I tried it. I don't remember what it was called, but it was some kind of chart and you basically draw like a cross, and it's like 4 squares basically. And the first square was like important but not urgent. And then one was urgent but not important. And then it was urgent and important. And then the last one was not urgent and not important. And you would write it down where it belongs. And then obviously you wouldn't mess with the things that weren't urgent and not important. And then you could it helps you prioritize what needs to be done right away and what's important. And then, you just go in order from there. And I thought that was pretty brilliant because I have a hard time prioritizing sometimes. So when I'd write it down, then I'd be like, well, I need to do that right away. And it's really important. So that's the first thing I'm going to tackle. And it just kind of helped me work through that.
Love that.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's called the Eisenhower method.
That's what it was. I knew it was some kind of name, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Love it.
And what's also great with this method is when you come up with some things that's not important and not urgent, ask people for help. Ask people, delegate whatever you can delegate. So, and not only hiring a VA to do some things for you, it's also maybe asking your kids to do more or asking your husband to do more. So we, especially as women, I feel we often try to do everything by ourselves, and it's hard for us to ask for help. So ask people to help you. There's no shame, and yeah.
I love it.
It's
Okay.
really important. Yeah.
Okay, so Kristen says, not sure if this is very easy to answer, but I have used Simplero before. So that's kind of like, do you know what Simplero is? It's
No.
kind of like Kajabi, where it's like an all-in-one system. It's your website, it's your email, it's everything all in one platform. She said, I've used Simplero before and I loved it, but I love that it was the only system I needed. Website, lead pages, email, newsletters, a bunch of other things, membership site. But she canceled it. And now, because we get the website in a week course in here, she's slightly terrified of having to use a ton of different systems, each with their own logins, and get them integrated. Any thoughts for this? The one thing I didn't love about Simplero was that I didn't know how to make websites look good and how to fully customize everything. So that seems like a no-go now with Brand Boldly Live. Okay. So I'm going to say real quick before Petra jumps in, like the website part and like about half of that stuff mentioned in here, Kristen, is going to be part of Brand Boldly Live. And we're going to talk about integrating them. So I don't want you to feel even slightly terrified. We're going to go through it all step by step, but I totally understand, where that's coming from. And, Petra, like maybe you can talk about just organizing, like how do you organize all of the different information that you have to remember, like logins and passwords and what does what, and anything else that you want to add to that too as well. That was the first thing that came up for me, but.
Okay. So with the password, I'm really old school in there. With this, I have a sheet of paper where I write everything down. So
Whatever happened to have a digital copy of everything?
Yeah. Except for passwords, apparently.
Now, I often store, I have this, I don't know how it's called in Apple. It's like Locker or something like that, where you can store all your passwords. They always ask you if you want to save the password, and I say yes. So, yeah.
Cool. There's a bunch of different apps and systems that can store passwords and stuff. And as far as organizing, like what does what and like all of the different things, we're going to get into that in Brand Boldly Live too a little bit. But like, I don't want you guys to think, Kristen or anyone else, that we need like 50 different systems to run our business. Like all of these tools Petra's talking about are like super helpful organizational tools that like should help our business, not overwhelm us with more things to do. So like in reality, like a website, an email system, and all of these things to keep yourself organized, whatever they may be. Maybe it's one thing, maybe it's 5 things, but like the point is to be less overwhelmed, not more overwhelmed. So don't just like sign up for systems just because you think you need to have it. Like make sure you're really choosing things that are going to work for you, and ask for help. Like if you're overwhelmed like this, we're going to get into all of this stuff when we do the website things. But for now, like any kind of CRM or anything like that you think you need, like ask yourself, do I really need this yet? Or is there something else I can be doing instead?
This is actually a really, really good point. We often hear, oh, this tool can do this and this tool can do that. And we think, oh, this is great. And we spend hours and researching and what can I do with this? And then you don't really need it. As I said before, you need a CRM system, a task management system, some kind of online calendar, and some kind of note-taking app if you want to, and everything Brooke says about websites. So, and an email system if you want to collect email addresses. So,
which you
especially
do. Yeah. You do want to collect email addresses.
Yeah. So you don't need something fancy, something that integrates with something else, and try to keep it as simple as possible for you.
Yes.
This should be the goal. It should also, with the tools you choose, it should help you. It shouldn't overwhelm you, and you should not spend hours working on these tools and trying to set everything up. It should support you and not distract you and overwhelm you.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen for one hot second just to make sure everyone knows that we have this here. inside of our membership site, we have this resources tab that has stuff. If you haven't checked this out yet, there's some really good stuff in here. It looks like about all of these were recommended by Petra in the last few rounds of Brandfoldy Live, other than, my things up here. But this is like an ever changing thing too. So if anyone has any tools or any cool things that you find that you want to share with us, let me know and we can add them in here. Petra, this is one of your freebies, right? This social media calendar that you made, that's in there. This is an email marketing system. Like, this is a really cool free one if you don't want to use MailChimp. And then some other really cool tools in here too, but just so you know, those are there. There was also, I meant to ask earlier, Petra, when we were talking about the brain dump part, didn't you have a really cool tool where you could just like, it was like a mind map type thing? Do you remember that one?
Yes, it's called MindMeister.
That was it. Okay. MindMeister.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that one into the resources section too. So that one's really cool for just like organizing your brain.
Yeah. For me, the first step when I start a project is always the brain dump, and I need to organize it, but I also need to be able to move things around.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, you can just move all the tasks around and see where it fits in. And it's free, so you can make 3 mind maps in the free version. So
cool. I love it.
Okay. This might be another great tip. So you don't always have to have the paid, super sophisticated version of a tool. So it often is enough to have a free version. So don't put another price, no, another expense on your list. So if I know a lot of people say you should invest in your business, and if you take it seriously, you should spend money. But I feel, especially at the beginning, a lot of the free tools are really good enough to go with it, and don't feel the need to invest in expensive things when there are free versions and free tools out there, especially at the beginning.
Fully agree. A lot of the stuff that I use is still the free version. Like, I pay for Dubsado and like my membership site stuff, but I use a lot of free versions of things too.
I pay for Teachable and for Dubsado. These are the only 2 tools I pay for.
Awesome. Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? No? Well, this was so much fun. I love talking about this stuff. I'm like an organization dork too. That's why we get along so well. So, Petra, go ahead.
So, a lot of the tools I use, I learned about from you in Brandfoldy Live. So
cool. Awesome. So, if it's okay with you, I'm going to add you into our group so that anyone that watches the replay can ask questions. And if you have any follow-up questions for Petra, that would be the place to go. Thank you all for coming.
Your questions and tag me, and I will be happy to answer them.
Awesome.
Oh, it feels like coming home.
I know. Before we started this, I was like, man, I used to talk to Petra like twice a week. This is so weird. We could just do more. No, it's so good. So I'm so glad that, you came in here and shared this with us. All of this stuff is like so helpful, you guys. Like, it's so easy to learn these things and then just be like, okay, I'm going to go organize my stuff later. And that ain't helping nobody. So like, do the things, implement the things, just like everything else in Brandfoldy Live, and you'll get so much out of it. So thank you so much, Petra, for coming in. So glad.
One last tip, because you said implement all this stuff. What I love to do are get your shit together days. Ooh. Where you really take one day to organize all your stuff. So maybe this might be, with the tips you got today, something you do in the near future to take a day to really set everything up and set yourself up for productivity and success.
I love it. Awesome idea. Okay, well, you guys will get week 3 homework tomorrow. And then our call next week. We're back on schedule. So hopefully this has been a nice 2-week homework break. And we've gotten all caught up and we're ready to move on. So I'm super freaking excited. And everyone have a great weekend. I will talk to you all soon. Bye. Bye, Petra.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me. Bye.